there I was talking about my engine being too big, maybe, for the Locomotive project, when up pops this one on Done Deal. Is it float valve? And oh yeah, it's on, fuel's on. Air intake there. Ooh. And maybe that is the fuel mixture. Must look these things up. And this old spring is the, I suppose it's the throttle control, isn't it? I know they're common enough in the UK, but here they're much rarer. So a happy coincidence for sure.
Carburetor.
And look, it starts and runs quite well. It's quite old, probably 1940s, and has a couple of things wrong with it, but still, haven't we all? And it looks clunky and old-fashioned, and I think rather fabulous. The Lister D engine is a single-cylinder petrol one. It's noisy and jumpy because it's upright and misfires and conks out without warning. Sounds a bit like me actually, so I think we can learn to get along. Sorry. One good thing about it is that it's designed to run at just 700 RPM, which is very slow by modern standards and means I don't need to reduce it by as much to drive the Loco wheels.
Lovely, what a lovely thing. Can we make it fit on there? So keen.
What a wonderful thing. So let's have a look at how it might work in the Loco setup. Here's my drawing of it in Tinkercad. I do like Tinkercad. But before we get there, many thanks to all the people who suggested solutions to last week's design challenge. You know, the one with the bigger engine. People suggested a steering bogie on the front to help it through the switches. Although of course there isn't a front and back. In a way there's only sideways on this railway, so you need one on the other end as well. Then there was a double bogie wagon that would work too, with the engine in the middle, a bit lower than I've drawn here. And a simpler version, perhaps a 240 setup, where the hinge is on a bogie and the single axle is fixed to the chassis. So there's just one hinge. One axle works independently of the other two. That could work, couldn't it? So many ways to build a Loco. I might well come back to these when I can, if I come back to the big engine. Thanks very much for your suggestions, everyone. Now, I must just say that many people told me that my wheels are too big. What? That I would get more traction with smaller wheels. What? What? Well, I say tractors to that. Tractors, I say. Tractors have big wheels and big traction, don't they? I think some people are getting mixed up between traction and torque. But torque wouldn't be an issue with a big engine like this, would it? Torque is the power needed to turn the wheels, and traction is what stops them slipping. And as far as I can work out, there's almost no difference between big and small wheels for traction. In fact, big wheels are less likely to slip and get stuck on sticks and stones or damsels tied to the tracks or whatever. They have a slightly bigger contact point, which can be both good and bad, depending on the conditions. And then there's speed. Well, of course, big wheels would go faster if the gearing is the same, but whatever size wheels I use, I'd need to match the gearing to get the correct ground speed, wouldn't I? That's part of the transmission design. Usually just counting how many teeth you want on your sprockets. Small wheels do help keep the chassis lower to the ground, lowering the centre of gravity, so that's a good thing for sure. And if I had some small pipe, I would make more small wheels, I promise, but I'd run out of small pipe, and the good stuff is not cheap. And anyway, I like my bigger wheels, so I'm keeping them, alright? But how would the new engine fit in with them? Right, so interestingly, it's actually wider than the big engine, because the pulley, well, the pulley and flywheel combination, they stick out a long way. But the engine is actually shorter, so I could fit it between the axles, I think, or hang it out on one end with me balancing it at the other end, or somebody. Or perhaps I could turn it by 90 degrees and mount it transversely. Still, all the options available for the transmission itself: belts, alternator and electric motors, gearbox, hydraulics. I'm spoiled for choice. But actually, I'm thinking of something else altogether. I just need to set up a little experiment and then I'll show you. Okay, so don't go too far away.